Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here with a public service announcement that now is the time to sell your stuff. If you have clutter, I say clutter, but like good items that you hope to get some money back for, you don't necessarily want to just start with the donation process. Now's the time to do it. Early December, I actually went down this rabbit hole a couple of weeks ago about when is the best time to sell your stuff. And I was thinking, for some reason, January would probably be a really good time to sell your stuff. And it turns out I was very, very wrong. And so apparently the sales really dropped down for reselling things in January. The sales really dip. And it makes sense when I started again, going down that rabbit hole and researching why the sales drop in January and why they really peak in early December. You can probably guess. It's really got me getting my stuff together and preparing to post a whole bunch of things to sell in the next week. Early December is the best time to sell your stuff. And if you've historically not had a lot of success with selling your stuff, or you don't even know where to begin, I do have a workshop on the 11th that I'm going to be sharing with my students who recently joined my cohort of Clutter Cure, and I have it open to anybody else who's interested in joining it. It's going to be like a live implementation workshop where we do it together. So I give you some details about how to stage your stuff, how to put a description that makes people actually want to buy what you're offering, lighting, all of that. But I was telling them I was thinking of doing it in January because in my mind, I was thinking January was going to be the month to do that. And I had another implementation workshop about building and developing your decluttering plan together that I thought, well, maybe that would be better in December. So anyway, I had this big conversation and I told them after doing all of this research on the best times to sell your stuff, it was just clear to me, December is when it had to be. This now is the time to sell your stuff. But let's talk about why and how to really take advantage of early December selling of your own stuff for cash. So first of all, let's just talk about the obvious. Early December, people are still scrounging around for last minute gifts, maybe even not last minute gifts, depending on how far into December you wait. But especially if you're looking at the beginning of December, maybe people didn't find what they needed at Black Friday. Maybe they don't like to participate in Black Friday, and secondhand purchases have been on the rise. They've been on the rise for the past 5 years. And it makes sense because obviously, the price of things is going up. You've got inflation, but then you've also just got the economy, and people don't have as much money, right? A lot of people are broke and they're looking for affordable ways to still participate in what is the biggest gift giving season of the year. Now, definitely there are some mindset shifts that you can have, but the reality is that a lot of us still find a lot of joy in giving gifts, just the act of giving. And if you can do that without breaking the bank and putting yourself in a place of pain and really setting yourself up for failure for 2026, because now you're broke and you're having to recoup, it's really just an ongoing cycle that so many people go through year after year. The truth of the matter is there are people who are going to be buying gifts. And if you have things that are quality to sell, especially if they're things that would make good gifts, things that maybe are for kids, for toys. For example, I have this really adorable kind of, what would you call it? Natural wood. I guess you could call it an activity center. You can use as a slide, or it could be a bridge. And you've got the triangle climbing bar things on one end. And then on the other end, there's this curved mini slide that can also be flipped over and used as a rocking chair. And it's in perfect condition. No crayon marks anywhere on it, no messes on the cloth or anything. But Chloe has gotten a little bit too big for it. Now she's 3 years old. She's able to go down the big slides. It's just less fun for her to climb on the little wooden thing that she used for the entire year that she was 2 years old. She got a lot of use out of it. So something like that, I think is going to sell really well. And my mindset on selling, if you haven't heard it before, then I will share it with you now. A lot of people think, well, this is how much this thing is worth. This is how much I spent on it. So I should recoup all of that. They expect to get brand new value for the thing if it's in brand new condition. I see things like that posted all the time, on Facebook Marketplace. I see something for sale and I go and look up what the cost of it is new, and it's basically the same. They might be saving you on shipping, but with Amazon Prime, they're not even saving you on that. And you'll see that those things, they're not selling. They're lasting forever and ever, reposting the things. And that's because secondhand is secondhand, whether it's still in brand new condition or not. And even if it's still in the box and never used, people are still going to expect, because of the risk that they're taking, they don't know if it's going to work. They don't know if maybe it's going to work for a week, but you've done something weird to it. There's some risk in buying things secondhand. So you shouldn't expect that people are going to want to pay full price for anything that they're not getting with the warranty or, the return option of a store. So my mindset and the way that I look at selling things is I think of it like a timeshare. So for this activity center, for example, I think that it was like $90. We'll just say $90 when I bought it new. I could probably easily get $50 for it, maybe even $60, because it's in such brand new condition and it looks really pretty and it would make the perfect Christmas gift for a toddler. I anticipate that I'm not going to have any trouble selling this thing. But am I going to post it up there for $90? No, because that wouldn't be fair to the person who's buying it and the risk that they're taking. And in my mind, I have a timeshare where I've gotten to use this thing for a full year for Chloe at possibly $30. That's a steal. Like in my mind, that's a no-brainer. If I was going to go buy something like that for a year's worth of use and somebody said, yeah, you can essentially rent this for a year for $30, I'd be like, yeah, okay, no brainer. We got so much value out of that. It was a really cool little thing. That's how I think about everything I sell. Everything I sell, I think of it as if I can recoup anything, that detracts from the amount of money that I initially spent on it. And I got the best years out of it because I bought it new, if that makes sense. So that's my mindset on selling. If you've got anything that's going to be a good Christmas gift, obviously people are buying gifts in December, especially in early December. The second thing to consider is holiday decor, because there are very few times of the year when anybody is going to want to buy your holiday decor. Even if it's just like the most cherished or most gorgeous piece of decor, once Christmas is done and the tree comes down, nobody wants to think about Christmas again until the next year. That's just how it works. We don't want to hear Christmas music until after Thanksgiving the next year. We don't want to buy any ornaments. We're not thinking that far in advance. You have some people who are like really savvy shoppers that will go hit up the resale locations or, maybe go to Goodwill or something like that after the holiday season, because that's when you can get things at a great discount. But most of us aren't willing to go buy things that we're just going to store for a year. I'm certainly not. Likely, you've already gone through all of your holiday decor and you've already seen the things that you're not going to use. You haven't put it up yet. It's not going on the tree this year and no longer matches the new theme or decoration color scheme that you have going on in your home or on your tree. Now is the best time to sell those things because you're probably not going to get another chance. And if they're otherwise just sitting on a box in your storage to not be used next year when you go through all of your stuff, you know what I'm saying? It's a good time to do it. The third thing to consider is something I touched on earlier, but that is not only are you recouping some money during what is historically the spendiest month, the month where people put themselves in debt year after year and have been doing it for decades. I don't recommend it. We definitely do not do that, but it definitely does happen. You can use this as an opportunity again to recoup some of that money while at the same time clearing out some of your space for 2026, if that's one of your goals, to have a clearer space, or to clear out your space before you start getting new Christmas gifts. A lot of people will declutter like their kids' toys or something before bringing in new kids' toys for Christmas. I definitely do. I've already cleared out some things knowing that Chloe is inevitably going to be getting more Christmas gifts, right? It's a smart thing to do. So this can be incentive to just create some space before new things come in, and to create space before more people come over. So if you're expecting a lot of guests this Christmas season and you're like shoving things away and you're trying to figure out how to make more space for the people who are going to be coming over to your home, well, this is just another way to help solve that problem as well. So what about January? I did a lot of research. I looked up so many articles and I brought ChatGPT into the mix and I was Googling and everything, trying to figure out if there are any stats for the ups and downs of how things are reselling month to month. And I could not find anything. Apparently, Facebook does not share that information with the public. But what I did find was a lot of personal blogs and people who talk about flipping furniture and selling stuff like that on Facebook Marketplace. And they were saying that there's definitely a trend downward in January. And there are a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of at least speculative reasons that seem to make sense. One of them being that people are spent. both financially and physically. They're spent from flying off to meet their family. They're spent from spending a lot of time with all of their family. And then they're just spent financially from spending all of that money in December. So January is not generally a time when people are looking to spend more money or to go out of their way to research and bring more things in. But also, one thing that I hadn't considered is that it is colder in January. February, it's going to be just absolutely frigid. And January is kind of the bridge between when things start getting colder in December and when they get really cold in February. And so if you live in a place where there's a lot of snow, sheets of ice, where the weather is going to be not great for people driving and meeting each other or picking things up, well, that's going to cause there to be a dip also in January for people being able to just even meet and get the things that they're buying. And I actually remember going through that last year. As I was reading that, I was thinking that actually happened to me. I can't remember what I was selling. I think it was one of my cameras that I was trying to sell last year. And there were people who were interested in it that we were just having the hardest time. We're like, well, let's check next week and see, if it's drivable next week. Like if you're just physically not able to meet, then obviously that's going to cause a little hiccup in your ability to sell things. Not to mention it just feels cold and people aren't likely to be wanting to be outside and carrying around furniture. That's a spring activity. Also, a lot of people just got everything that they wanted in December. So they're not still looking to bring in more things, because if they had the idea of something they wanted, well, then they probably already asked for it or already bought it themselves while it was on sale for Black Friday. So there's just less of a need for people to even buy things or be looking for things in January. And finally, and maybe even the biggest reason that there's a huge dip in sales reselling things in January is for our New Year's resolutions. What are some of the top New Year's resolutions? You've got your health. So unless you're selling something like workout equipment that's in excellent condition, and you can't even sell medical devices on things like places like Facebook Marketplace, they won't even allow you to sell it. I remember having the biggest issue with trying to sell maternity stuff for breast pumps, for example. I couldn't sell my breast pump. And after I broke my leg and I was trying to sell my one-legged crutch thing that we spent a couple $100s on, and it was in excellent condition. So unless you're selling something like really good, high quality physical equipment, not the dusty stair stepper thing that's been sitting in your basement for years. But another New Year's resolution is related to people's homes, getting the clutter out, creating space. Creating a space that's more conducive to their goals that they're going to be trying to achieve in January, whether that's financial goals, fitness goals, all of your goals kind of come back down to creating the space for that in your environment, which is something I talk a lot about. And so bringing in new clutter is going to go against a lot of people's New Year's resolutions. And the third big one is money. People have New Year's resolutions about reaching financial goals, about saving and budgeting, and I'm not going to spend as much this year. I'm going to have a no-buy month. There are a lot of no-buy month challenges that happen in January. And so, you're less likely to find success in trying to sell things when people are adamantly trying not to buy things. So let this be your public service announcement that if you have things to sell that you're trying to get out of your home, you're trying to create space for yourself, you're trying to create space for your family members who are coming over and for the new gifts that are going to be coming in, now is the time to sell your stuff. And if you do want to join our implementation workshop, you are welcome to join it. Again, it's $25 for non-current cohort students, and I'll have the link to get in on that down below.